Good morning and welcome to the NBA Daily for June 3rd, 2025. I'm Dave DuFour here with Es Baraheni. Coming up, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, is he having the best season ever? We're going to debate it, and Mike Vorkunov is here to talk about the NBA and why the ratings are not a big deal for the finals. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Es. A little ratings talk today. I know you're fired up for that, Es.
Oh, yeah, I love ratings talk.
Yeah, actually, Mike Vorkunov wrote a great story over at The Athletic that I actually enjoyed quite a bit, that lays out the case for why, look, ratings talk is boring, but the business aspect behind the ratings, really, like, the ratings are not important at all.
It's a good way to boost these stars, having them on this type of platform. And in the future, who knows what it is. But yeah,
we have a great talk with Vork after the break, and we really go into Thunder and Pacers and the basketball, a little bit on the TV stuff. But as I want to talk, because we just haven't had a chance to really reflect since Shai won the MVP, because, we've had conference finals games every single night up until now. And, this guy is having one of these seasons that we'll point to, if they wind up winning the finals and if he's the finals MVP, we're going to compare this to some of the seasons that Michael Jordan put up. Shaquille O'Neal had a season where he led the league in scoring. Where does this stack up for you if he seals the deal? I mean, there's a lot of if here, right? We still got a couple weeks.
Yeah, there definitely is a lot of ifs, in the sense that he has to win the NBA championship and likely win finals MVP, because I think that's a very, very nice cherry on top to what has been one of the best seasons of all time. If you look at it, it's only him, Michael Jordan, and Shaq to have a scoring title, an MVP, and potentially finals MVP and a championship. So if he nails down the other two things, he's in rarefied air with two guys who, you ask any NBA history guy, have had some of the most historic, dominant seasons in NBA history. The season that recently reminds me of this is 2014, 2015 Steph, where he was really great. I don't think he won the scoring title, but he was near the top of the league in winning the scoring title. Obviously won MVP. They won the title that year, but didn't win finals MVP because that was the Andre Iguodala year. We can debate about whether that was the right call or whatnot. I don't know how you feel about that.
I mean, there's no debate. Steph should have won the finals MVP that year.
Okay. We're on the same page then. We're on the same page. So that's a recent memory of a great season that I can think of. It's funny to think of the fact that in Jokic's year where he didn't win MVP, he ended up winning the title. And so it's hard to parse through. He had an incredible stretch. You could argue that he had his best season yet this year. But in terms of pure resume, SGA is absolutely having one of the best seasons of all time, just because everything has been perfect. And oh, by the way, they won 68 games. And oh, by the way, they are one of 4 teams to win 80 games before heading to the NBA finals. It's like, it's pretty hard to poke and prod at any issues with what Shai did this season. Yeah.
But now the on the other side, if he doesn't pull this off, right? Like if they don't win the finals, we're going to look back on this season and we're going to call Shai a fraud. We're going to do all the things that we do. I mean, it is funny. Like, this guy has had just this incredible run. You mentioned it. Best record in the league, scoring champ, MVP. I mean, they nearly pulled off the NBA Cup, final. I mean, they could have done that.
True.
We're still talking that up. And if he manages to, after the playoff run that he's had, if he manages to win a finals, get the finals MVP, I mean, I definitely think this is probably one of the 4 or 5 best seasons individually that anyone's ever had. I mean, we could split hairs on the Jokic years because of the true shooting, and we can dig into those numbers, and it's different.
Can I
things.
ask you, off the top of your head, because Steph is the one name that pops up to me. You can list any of the recent Jokic years, and that's one. LeBron is another one that you could think of in the years that he was MVP and won a title. What names pop up to you when you think of a season that SGA has had like this in terms of the winning?
It's basically that. I mean, Michael Jordan winning Defensive Player of the Year and all these things. Right. And Jordan had a few years where it just felt like he owned the award season. But to do that and to have by far the best team, your team is the best team in the league, runaway MVP. I just think that, it's one of the 4 or 5 that I can think of. I'd put it up there with that Steph season, which statistically is a ridiculous thing to say, maybe, just because of the way that Steph shot. But as far as winning goes, I mean, which is really what matters. That's the stat that matters the most. This is one of the winningest seasons any player has ever had, right? Like just games and awards. First team All NBA. I mean, it's just undeniable that he, you know, had a better year than every single player out there.
Yeah, it's also crazy because he's still getting better. Like he's 26, and I know we kind of prop this up and say this about a bunch of superstars, but it's because they're that good. Like when Jokic was young and he won his first MVP, we're like, this guy can still somehow even get better on the defensive end. And when Giannis won his Defensive Player of the Year and MVP season, it was like, this guy could become a better playmaker. He could become a better, more well-crafted mid-range scorer. And I think with Shai, he's having a season like this and you're like, yeah, he could probably end up being a better passer, better playmaker, even better from three. It's crazy to consider he's only 26 years old and he's doing this.
Yeah.
You know,
if you're watching on YouTube, let us know in the comments if we missed a season that someone had, you know, historically. I mean, look, miss me with the Will Chamberlain years, because obviously like those are ridiculous. But, you know, if somebody recently has had a season that I'm just not thinking of, let us know. But I think Shai has got to be up there with anybody.
Like, look, individual seasons of numbers and everything, but when you think numbers, accolades, team success, everything together, it's really hard to poke at this SGA season.
Yeah. Guys, stick around after the break. Mike Vorkunov here to talk Thunder, Pacers, and the X factors that are going to swing it for the Pacers. There's been a lot of conversation in the last few weeks about teams being based out of Oklahoma City and Indianapolis making the finals and how it's supposed to be a nightmare for the NBA. My guy, Mike Vorkunov, over at The Athletic, he covers a lot of the business side of the NBA. He actually wrote about this and why it's not actually a disaster. First of all, it's good basketball, but Mike, lay out the case for me that Thunder Pacers is actually a good thing for the NBA.
Well, I'll tell you what, the ratings apocalypse, if it does hit, will not take out the NBA. They will survive, I promise. I think a lot of this is based on we've all become kind of sports media viewers and consumers and critics, right? To steal from
it does
Andrew
seem like
Martian's
people
bit.
comment on podcasts about other podcasts a lot. Like it just seems like that's the whole ecosystem there that I just can't get into.
There's definitely an ecosystem there.
And I mean, like, it's a great way to start a feud, and I'd love to see you guys do that. Like, I would love that
Thank
for
you.
you.
Yeah.
Nobody wants beef with this podcast.
we could call someone, whatever. Right?
So, yeah, I mean, everyone cares about ratings. Part of it is like some people have real concerns. Some people care about it because they care about the business of sports. Some people use it as like concern trolling, right? Where they don't actually care and use it as kind of like, you know, as weapons of misinformation or reasons to critique the NBA and other sports at the WNBA, like all that type of stuff. Look, OKC, 47th biggest media market in the NBA, in the country, third smallest in the NBA. Indy has the ninth smallest media market in the NBA. Will probably get low ratings? Yeah, probably. Does it matter for the league? No, it doesn't.
No. Yeah.
They're getting the same amount of money either way. They're in the last year of their current media deal. Their next one already is
and they already signed
summer,
that one. Right.
For
They
11 years.
Yeah.
Who knows? Will TV ratings really matter as much by 2036?
Right.
We might have subscriptions. We might have orbital views. I don't know. Like, I don't know what we'll be doing by that time. But the NBA probably would have, on the whole, made more money if it was like Knicks, Minnesota, or, you know, if the Warriors made a run or something like that.
Sure.
Like ticket revenue, gate, all that stuff matters, right? Like that money teams get, they split it with the league, they split it with the NBPA. Merchandise sales, that matters. Like that's all money that they can make that they probably would have made more of. OKC, as strong as a fan base as they might have, like it has half the amount of people in the entire state than the city of New York, right? Like that stuff matters, but it's not going to be the type of thing that has any really huge impact on the NBA because the NBA, like every other professional sports league at this point, is so dependent on media rights. And the media rights deal is locked in. Like they're getting $75 billion for the next 11 years.
Those checks are going to cash regardless.
I think there's a few things at play. Number one, I'll tell you just firsthand experience here on our show. The Thunder do numbers. right? Like people have paid attention. This is a great basketball team. They play a fun and exciting style. They have an MVP. I think that people actually are very curious about the Thunder. I think it's a little bit of an opportunity for the NBA, who already drives their fans to pay attention to the entire league. This is not a regional sort of league like Major League Baseball, where, you know, you might only get Yankees fans watching Yankees games. I mean, everyone watches pretty much every team.
I will say, though,
except for the Charlotte Hornets.
It is interesting that like we even have these conversations regarding the NBA when in the NFL, it's like, oh, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And you know what I mean? Like it doesn't kind of compute to me. If you look at the
you could put a team from Canada in the
sports.
Super Bowl and it would do numbers because the Super Bowl itself is an event.
Right. Well, look, to back that up, when Cleveland was in the finals, nobody complained because had LeBron, right?
Right.
And so how do you get not the next LeBron, but like someone who might potentially get to his level is for someone like SGA to get to the finals year after year after year, win MVP after MVP after MVP. So this is the first step in something like that potentially happening. And like for OKC, it might actually happen. Like we don't know. They're pretty well positioned to get here like 2, 3, 4, 8 million years in a row. I don't know. Like this is, and I think that's how some around the NBA view it too, is like the ratings this year will probably be suboptimal. I'll use that word. It won't be great, right? But it might be an investment in the future in the sense that now you expose Tyrese Halliburton to a different kind of audience than people who are watching the finals of the NBA Cup or even the Eastern Conference Finals, right? Now he gets exposed to a much larger audience, and that makes people watch next year, the year after. Like I had that stat in my story, which is the Denver-Miami finals. They didn't have great ratings, but they saw, I think, the NBA saw a 32% increase year over year in nationally televised game viewership for games that had the Nuggets. Right? Like, so there's kind
I'm
of
assuming the same
impact.
thing applies to Giannis, right? With the Bucks. Yeah.
And I think they had 21% for Bucks games the year after they won the title.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are different ways that this all kind of goes, and you have to bridge to the next generation of stars. The NBA has to find a way, right? Like we still see LeBron versus Steph on Christmas Day, and that has an end point. So you have to, you know, like Dave and I talk about wrestling a lot. We're big wrestling fans. You got to start building up like the next star, right?
Like storyline.
You got
some new guys got to go over so they look good. I will say this. I mean, I think the trick here is that the NBA really wants to recapture the casual fan, and you know, like you don't have Michael Jordan. I understand it, but the truth is, and I want to we're off the TV topic now. I did want to talk to you about it because I did enjoy the piece, but I want to talk to you about the hoops part, because if I was a casual fan jumping in, this is going to be an electric series when you consider number one, style of fight, right? Like just consider the contrasting styles and how they go head to head against each other, but also two deep teams. Both teams play defense, fast paced offense. I mean, Mike, I really want to know, like, what are you excited about with this finals matchup in particular? I mean, you follow the entire league, you write about the entire league. So, you know these teams as well as anybody. What are you pumped about?
Like, I'm excited for the pace of play. Like, I think it's going to be electric. As you said, Indy, everyone talks about how fast Indy played against the Knicks, right? They couldn't contain their pace. They couldn't catch up to their speed and like couldn't keep up with Pascal Siakam leaking out after he even made baskets. Crazy. Indy plays super fast. OKC has played faster in the regular season and the playoffs. They're a faster team. Like, I think back to, I think it was the first OKC Cleveland matchup this season. Awesome game. The pace was great. The offense was great. Like, we could see that for X amount of games in this finals. And as a product, like, that matters for the NBA. And I think if people watch and they tune in and they give it a chance, it is more likely that they stay and watch a game like that than even if the Knicks had made it, right?
Right.
You know, the Knicks have a huge audience, but like Jalen Brunson, foul grifting, not great television. Their pace is a little bit slower. Like, Cat isn't as aesthetically pleasing a type of player.
It's a less entertaining brand of basketball compared to what the Pacers were. And like, to your point about the pace, I think that gets the casual fan hooked too, right? They get in, they're like, wow, this is a completely different pace than what we're used to in the regular season for the most part. Is there like an X factor or someone you're looking at as a guy who can swing this series either way?
I'd love to hear your guys' opinion on it, but for me, it's Pascal Siakam. Like, and I know that maybe a cop-out. Maybe he's not an X factor.
Well, he's the best player on the Pacers. I do think that he's very
Dave has been riding that take. Eastern Conference Finals MVP.
Yeah, Eastern Conference Finals MVP plays you out pretty well. I'd say that mostly because he's not as capable of getting his own shot and as producing. And Indy will need someone aside from Halliburton to create offensively, whether that means playmaking off the dribble or whether it means just busting his butt down the court, as he so often does, to just create easy buckets.
Yeah.
And there's sometimes where I think there's a few games against the Knicks where they really struggled because there was no one there to give Halliburton help. And New York, for like quarters and maybe halves at a time, did a good job of kind of like slowing Halliburton down. And OKC is as capable as anyone of doing that because they have the not only like one or two defenders, they have a whole set of they have waves of defenders that they can throw at him between Dort and Jalen Williams and Alex Caruso and all that type of stuff. So Siakam's got to be more consistent. And if he can be that kind of player, then I think it can be a longer series.
Yeah, I mean, look, I really want to say Thomas Bryant is the X factor, but the truth is it's Miles Turner, right?
I was going to say, Miles Turner.
It's Miles Turner. Right. Miles Turner is the X factor here, right? He's got to go up against Chet. He's got to go up against Hartenstein. He's got to rebound at a different level than he did against the Knicks. And he's got to hit those threes, those trail threes that they love. I think Miles Turner is the key to the series if the Pacers are going to compete. You know, I think we picked OKC in 6. I mean, it's probably a pretty basic pick out there. I'm not saying we're breaking any new ground, but if this gets to 7 or if the Pacers have a chance to win, it's going to be because Miles Turner kind of goes off to a certain degree. I think actually he could in this series. I mean, this is a pretty good matchup for him individually. It depends. Maybe they start guarding him with like J-Dub and it takes them completely out of whack. I don't know. I mean, I think the coaching matchup is the thing I'm more fascinated by, but that would be my X factor. What about you, S? I mean, you asked the question.
I think I love the Miles Turner shout just because that's the guy who can stretch the floor, and both these teams like to play 5-out offense. Like they're capable of doing that. I think my X factor is probably Andrew Nembhard, because who in the world is going to guard SGA on that team? Yes, it's going to be Nembhard, who's been doing it for most of the time that OKC and Indiana has matched up this season. Like, if he can make life hell for SGA, and it's really hard to do that. Nobody has been successful in doing that this season. I mean, this is a guy who's having one of the most efficient scoring seasons we've seen in NBA history. If he can just make life difficult for SGA, that's the version of the series where the Pacers might be able to win. But man, is that a tall task. That is a very, very tall task for Nembhard, who also struggled against Brunson a little bit until that game 6. Like, he was incredible in game 6 to lock up Brunson, made it hard on him, pressured him up the court. But for the most part, that was a pretty tough series for him, you know?
Can I throw one more out there?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're talking about
it.
Go. Benedict Mathurin. I think they're going to need a good series from him. He struggled for most of the Knicks series, and he got replaced by Ben Shepherd at times where he just had his minutes cut down. Like, they need a guy like him who they can, A, use defensively to throw in there and play capably, and B, like, he got to the line pretty frequently in the East Conference Finals, and they're going to need that to get some OKC guys in trouble.
It's true.
And they're going to need another guard to just like cause some trouble offensively, because I'm curious what you guys think. I'm worried about the TJ McConnell minutes a little bit. TJ McConnell's gonna be guarding a little bit differently.
Like, I've been worried about TJ McConnell minutes basically the entire time he's been in the league, but
guys,
yet he continues to produce.
I know.
I'm done doubting TJ McConnell, and I understand. Like, there's this thing where when he dribbles the ball, it looks like, I don't know, he would really cook Bob Cousy, right? But you don't see him breaking down the Oklahoma City Thunder defense. But the truth is, he doesn't turn it over a ton. And Link, like, he finds a way to get through it. Daring this guy to shoot turned out to not be great in certain spots. So I don't know, man. I can't doubt. I will say this. It is funny that we named 4 people between the 3 of us, all Pacers. I mean, this is
because
that's what it's going to take. Someone's going to have to really break out. And I would say Siakam has to just perform, but one of those other guys has to break out. You know, the fascinating part about the series is that you have 2 coaches that are willing to go deep into their bench. They're willing to break guys out. I mean, Oklahoma City played 10 guys in the first quarter of game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. That's kind of amazing. Kenrich Williams was getting run in the first game of the conference finals. So
and for Indy, it's like, did we expect Tony Bradley to play minutes in the Eastern Conference Finals? He did. At all. He eventually
and then Thomas
did.
Bryant has to fill in because he gets hurt and all.
Right.
This series is going to be so much fun.
Do you think that Indy? And I'm going to put this again the focus on Indy because we're all kind of like thinking they're at the disadvantage. here. And so you're kind of like thinking through what they need to do to win the game, or let alone what their margin for error is. But like, can they afford to play as deep with their rotations in this series? I know it's their thing, and I know they need it potentially too, like, so they can maintain their pace for a full game, and they play so hard and all that stuff. But like, OKC is just as deep. And I feel like when you're putting in your 8th, 9th, 10th best player for important minutes in a finals against a team like OKC, who's like that can burn you a little bit more than it could against the Knicks or the Bucks. Because those are just, they don't have the same depth.
I'm guessing both teams are down to like 8 guys.
Can I just throw out my stat since I have it here? I feel like we're in the conversation. Okay. Look, so I was thinking about this, guys, about like, how can Indy win this game? What is the way to attack OKC? Okay. There's not a lot of ways. Okay. This team won 68 games. They won 80 before they got to the NBA finals. They're a very, very good basketball team on a pace to be like historic. Okay. Great defense. They have that superstar player in SGA that can rise up to the next level. But 3-point shooting is an interesting thing here. They are 5-0 in the playoffs when they've shot better than 35%. They are 7-4 in games where they've lost and shot worse than 35%. Those games are the blowout against Minnesota and then 3 games against Denver. So you start thinking about, okay, what happened in that Nuggets series, right? What did they do? What did Denver do to make it hard on them 3-point shooting wise? They crowded SGA. They dared the rest of the other guys to shoot them. And this is why, maybe from an OKC perspective, the X factor is J-Dub, Chet, Caruso, Dort, and those guys knocking down their shots. Against Minnesota, Chet, 36%, J-Dub, 46%, Caruso, 41%, Dort, 37%. Against Denver, these are insane numbers. Chet, 22%, J-Dub, 23%, Caruso 42%, and Dort 29%. If you're hitting your shots, you're not going to beat, like, OKC is going to beat you every single time if they're hitting their shots. If you get a couple of games where they miss their shots and they're funneling it to Lou Dort and he has a 2 of 10 day, that's the way you can beat them.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I have more questions.
Yeah.
I think that's a great point, because I was going to say, I have more questions about OKC being able to score reliably.
Right.
Will they be able to score with Indy? I think that's, and they really struggled to do that against Denver, like you said, at times. Yeah. Like, and Denver's not a great defensive team.
Yeah. But they found a way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, guys, can Denver go zone? I don't know. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
I will say this. I think that the Pacers and their pace of play is going to work to their advantage. The fact that they have this egalitarian offense where Andrew Nembhard sometimes is initiating the offense and can get into the mid-range. They just have a lot of guys that can score from different places. So this is the key to their victory, right? If they're going to come out and win games in this series, it's just to be extremely versatile and to get buckets everywhere. Whereas with OKC, if you can shut down the SGA faucet, all of a sudden it gets a little dry out there. I mean, Lou Dort, we saw him miss 23s in a row or something. They can definitely find themselves in the desert. Mike, you got anything else before we get out of here on this series?
I just struggled to see the way that Indy takes this. I don't know what you guys think, but
most OKC checked every box, right?
Yeah, it's hard to. Even the stat that I just brought to you guys, I'm like, I'm really grasping at straws here to figure out a way. Yeah.
I guess maybe if they just turn up the 3-point volume so much, like they start to math their way to a win, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. Hey, Rick Carlisle has done it before. I'm going to keep reminding everybody that Rick Carlisle has done it before.
Look,
Mike
Vorkunov. This is also the thing where it's like, if we're circling back to the small market thing, this is why this series is good. This is why this series will be entertaining.
You know what rhymes with JJ Barea? TJ McConnell.
Okay. All right. That's going to do it for the show, folks. Thank you to Mike Vorkunov. Go and read him over at The Athletic. He'll be covering the finals. Thank you to Es Baraheni, as always, who I'm going to see in person a couple days.
Yes,
I'm Dave DuFour. This has been the NBA Daily. Thanks for waking up with us.